Very pleasant good afternoon to all of our viewers. We are delighted that you have joined us for our Let's Talk session. We are coming to you from the Seventh Adventist Church, the South Leeward Conference. This is Dr. Greene, your host. If you are new to Let's Talk, we discuss issues that are not often discussed in the public arena. We are here to make a difference, and this afternoon we have an exciting topic that we're going to be discussing. We are looking at the topic of exercise, your fitness, and your witness. This is a continuing series. We have been for the last 2 weeks talking about the Adventist health message, and this week we will focus a bit on exercise. The last 2 weeks we were talking about diet primarily. This week we're going to be talking a bit about exercise. We have a very special guest, but before we introduce our guest, we want to invite you to bow your heads with us for a word of prayer. Almighty Father and our God, we pray that you will be with us as we this afternoon discuss with our friends this important subject of exercise, our fitness, and our witness. We pray for your presence. We pray for your guidance. Grant that our sitting will be meaningful. In Jesus' name, amen. Well, this afternoon, we are talking, as I said earlier, about exercise, your fitness and your witness. We are going to be sharing with you that we have a special guest. Before I introduce the special guest, I want to remind our friends that next week we continue our health discussion because Dr. Dos Santos is going to be back with us next week. So that is going to be very exciting. Dr. Dos Santos, you remember he was here 2 weeks ago and many of you expressed appreciation for the information, and he's going to be with us next week again. So watch out for that. Well, this afternoon, we have a special lady who is going to be discussing and sharing with us on this important subject of exercise, your fitness, and your witness. We are talking about Mrs. Beverly Toppin, I believe the name is. She's a member of the Maranatha Seventh Adventist Church in Barbados. She holds several positions there, but more importantly, she's a lifestyle medical practitioner focusing on preventive medicine, women and children's health, and non-communicable diseases. She's currently completing a master's in public health at the University of the West Indies, and she believes that empowering persons is the best thing that one can do. So this afternoon, she's here to empower us in terms of how we can live a healthier lifestyle. Ms. Toppin, good afternoon and welcome to Let's Talk.
Hi, good afternoon. Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate being here.
All right, it's a pleasure having you. You look very joyful, very exuberant. We're just happy that you're here with us. And on Let's
Thank
Talk,
you.
we discuss issues. I'm sure you would agree with me that the topic of health is a very important one. For the last 2 weeks, we have been talking about health, but focusing on diet. In fact, you get the sense that for lots of Seventh Adventists, when they hear about healthy lifestyle, they think about diet. Today, we want to deal with the whole matter of exercise. So let me begin by asking you, can you tell us just how important exercise is to the proper functioning of the body and the maintenance of good health?
Well, first of all, exercise is important because if nothing else, the way our bodies alone are designed is for exercise. Could you imagine, just think about the ability to eat your meals without moving your hands. I mean, unless you want to eat your meals like the way the dogs do, put your head down in the bowl. And we're not designed to do that. We're designed to use, our body is constructed. We have joints. You wiggle your fingers, you see your hands are moving, your elbows are moving. So your body is naturally designed for movement. So therefore, exercise should be a second nature to second nature to us. Apart from that, it's good for brain function. It's good to improve mental health. It's good to reduce the risk of disease. It's very good for keeping your bones strong. It's very good for helping with digestion as well too, which is very important when it comes to persons who are diabetic. It's very important that after each meal they have some kind of walk, whether it's a mild walk or what have you, because when you're walking after a meal, your body is literally taking breaking down the sugars that goes into the cells, and the walk itself assists the body in taking the sugars into the cells to help regulate your blood sugar. So
Okay,
exercise is second nature to us. I'm so sorry.
I was going to interrupt to say that you're saying a lot of things, and we don't want any of our listeners to miss all those important principles that you're sharing there about the matter of exercise. I can see that you're very excited about this element of exercise.
I'm very excited. Yes, I am.
Now, when we say exercise, there are lots of people who say, well, I wish I could, but I don't seem to be able to. How do I go about deciding what exercise to engage in? Can you provide some guidance and information about the various types of exercise? So let somebody's listening, they do understand that, well, I need to pay attention. But before you answer that question, if I eat healthy, so that I cut down on my fats and I use my plant base and make sure that I have a lot of roughage and that kind of stuff. If I do all of that good stuff and I'm not exercising, what
So I missed the question.
I'm asking you, if I eat healthy,
Mm-hmm.
but I don't exercise,
Mm-hmm.
what's going to happen? What is it going to be of benefit to me?
If you don't exercise, well, if you eat healthy, that's quite all right. But the body was designed for movement. And if we go a ways back as in the Garden of Eden, when God created man, it's very important that what God did. God gave man work to do in the garden. Adam wasn't just created to just sit around and hang out and look at the animals. He was in charge of taking care of the garden, etc. And doing that, he was having movement. If you eat healthy, your body still needs the exercise because exercise helps to bring oxygen to the brain, etc. Let me put it this way. I'm trying to find the best way to put it. When you eat healthy and you eat the foods that you have to help build strong bones, etc., the eating healthy alone is not going to build a strong bone. It's good. You need to eat healthy, and that's something you want to recommend. But like I explained earlier, when you're walking, that walking alone helps not just to take the sugar from the blood into the cells, but it also helps to build strong bones, because as you're walking, the bones are pressing against each other. You're also helping with calcium exchange from the blood, from what you've eaten, and you're sending all that stuff into the cells and the bones as well. So you can eat healthy, but the reality is exercise is not just about losing weight. And that's where we have the problem. People believe that exercise is only about losing weight. Now, if exercise was about losing weight only, I wouldn't exercise at all. I'll think, well, you know what, I'm quite okay. Exercise helps to build a heart, help build a heart muscle, and the heart muscle needs to be strengthened, because when the heart muscle is strengthened, then you have less chances of having veins that are arteries and stuff that are not working properly. You have persons who are athletes. You realize that the amount of time that their body, the heart pumps to take the blood throughout the entire body is a whole lot less than persons who don't exercise. So what's happening is, if your heart muscle is not being strengthened, then your body, you're literally overworking your heart, because your heart has to be a lot more to get the same amount of blood throughout the entire circuit of the body. Whereas a person who exercises, the heart muscle is a lot stronger, and it's the less pumping of that heart muscle to take the blood throughout the entire body. So exercise, number one, is not just about losing weight. It is a very important function of the body, and your body, once again, was designed for movement.
Okay, very well. Now that you have clarified that, can you, now the question I asked previously.
Mm-hmm.
So I am taking your counsel. I want to begin an exercise program. I have not been doing it. Say a bit about how I can start. What are the different types of exercise that I should be aware of, and how do I get into it?
Okay, very good question you asked. You have the different the variety of exercise. You have anaerobic, you have isometric, you have compound movements, you have simple movements. exercise should be made up of a variety of all these movements together. And the reason being is that some exercises you use different muscles than you do with others. There are muscles that you would probably be using with simple exercises that you will not do with compound movements. So the first thing I would say to persons who've not exercised for a while and they want to get back into it is to start small. And most of the times persons complain that they don't have enough time. I've worked with enough clients to let you know that sometimes I work with women who are obese and women who are overweight. And sometimes I have to put them on just 3 minutes a day. Yes. Now that sounds like that's 3 minutes, 3 minutes only. Well, what it does is that I'm working psychologically with the brain, getting that person into a habit of doing something than doing nothing. So I may say start with 3 minutes a day. And when that 3 minutes you're doing, say you're going to do that 3 minutes, you focus on that 3 minutes, you do 3 minutes only and do nothing else. Then the next week, I bump that up to 5 minutes. And from there, 7 minutes and then 15 minutes. You start small and you start with very simple moves. In other words, you can jog on the spot for 3 straight minutes. What you're doing, you're giving yourself cardio and you're building that cardio muscle and you're getting your body warmed up and you're spiking that heart rate. That way your body will feel invigorated. And what that does, that works psychologically on you that you can be able to now say, okay, I've done the 3 minutes. What I'm doing now is I'm going to press on a little further. So it's not just about, oh, you need to have the momentum. It's also psychological. Some persons want to break that psychological barrier that I can't do or that I have to do a whole other hours or what have you. I always tell my clients, 10 minutes of a good workout is better than 45 minutes that you just don't have. So if all you have is 5 minutes to work out that morning, that evening, do the 5 minutes. Do not look to do a 45 minutes that you know you don't have. So start small and start simple and use simple moves.
Sounds like pretty good advice. Start small, start simple, and then we can build on that. All right. So here is my next question to you. The typical person who works in an office sits behind a desk for sometimes 6 to 8 hours. I was at a risk management workshop. I think I remember that occasion. And someone was presenting on the whole matter of managing risk. And he indicated that one of the things we needed to do to manage risk is to get moving. Now, I thought that was a very interesting connection. But he made the point that sitting has now become the new smoking. So he was saying that sitting for prolonged periods of time behind your office desk, and then you go home and you sit in the sofa and you watch television for another 2 hours, 3 hours, that is very, very bad for you. I would like you to just say a bit more on that. And I found it interesting that he was comparing sitting to the new smoking. We know that smoking is a terrible thing. So that means if at all there is any truth in that, then that seems to be pretty interesting.
I concur with him actually, because what does smoking do? Smoking causes loss of congenital heart diseases. So bearing in mind that when we are not just sitting alone, but the entire world has moved from an active lifestyle to a more sedentary lifestyle. They're hardly moving. So what's happening is that you're not giving that heart, once again going back to the heart, your heart is not getting the exercise or the movement or the work that it really needs to build that heart muscle. And what happens is that when you sit for prolonged periods of time, you're causing there are persons who, let me give you an example. It's not just sitting, persons who drive, persons who are taxi drivers, persons who are bus drivers. These are persons that have to be very mindful that because they're sitting for those long periods of time, they're putting a strain on the different organs of the body, the liver, the kidneys, the lungs, and what have you. You're putting the strain because the body is consistently sitting in a position, a strain in your body, even your back, etc. So what happens is your body becomes so, not I wouldn't say accustomed, it's not being, organs not being able to move around, and you're not getting the oxygen in. Because what happens is, it is the food that you eat, the oxygenated blood takes the food that you eat and it feeds the organs in the cells. So if if you're not moving around to getting the oxygen into the body, then guess what? Your cells are not getting that food. No matter how healthy you eat, you can eat blueberries coming through your nose. If you're not moving around, if you're not getting the oxygen to come into the body to take the nutrients, the oxygenated blood take the nutrients to the cell, then guess what? Your body and your organs are being deprived of having those nutrients. Also too, because their body's not being active, you're causing now eventually lack of oxygen leads to what? Whenever oxygen is being lacked, then you're going to have cell death will kick in eventually. So we want to realize that sitting constantly like that, and persons who drive, persons who works at the desk as well too, these are persons who are high at risk of getting cardiovascular diseases and other problems that will come with lack of exercise.
That's interesting. So the whole concept of getting out there and moving, I observe people, they go to the supermarket and they prefer to drive 3 times around until they get a park that is close to the door, rather than deliberately parking somewhere else and walking. So there are some folks who just dislike moving, but you're saying that we should prioritize moving. Yes. And if it means parking further just for the purpose of getting some additional exercise, and that's good. Very interesting. I see a question here. I'm going to resist asking it now. I'll ask it in a little while. So one of our viewers is asking. By the way, if you are listening on Second Advent Radio, we have multiple ways of viewing this program. There is, of course, some of our viewers are on Facebook. And if you do have a question, you can put it in the chat. I'll check now and then for that. And of course, if you are on SLC Church channel or you are on SLC Adventist, as usual, write your questions in the chat. Now, some persons want to know, what if I'm listening on Second Advent Radio? And I do understand that there are some folks all across Antigua, Barbuda listening on Second Advent Radio. And I was told not long ago that there are listeners on Second Advent Radio streaming online at secondadventradio.org. And I was told that we have listeners in North America, we have listeners in Canada and elsewhere around the world. If you do have a question, I'm going to have to say for this afternoon, you can WhatsApp that question. WhatsApp only, no calls. WhatsApp. You can WhatsApp at 1-268-720-3170. Let me give you that WhatsApp number again. It's 1-268-720-3170. So we would facilitate, if you're listening on Second Advent and do need to send in a question, you can WhatsApp your question in at that particular number. All right. It seems to me as though many persons make resolutions at the beginning of the year. They say, come this year, I am going to get out there and I'm going to exercise. But after a few weeks, they just drop out. What tips can you give as to how one can not just begin, but maintain an adequate exercise program?
Very good question. The first thing I'll tell persons who are very serious about making those New Year's resolutions, and I don't think the problem is that they're not serious. I think the problem is that they don't know how. And the first thing I tell persons, clients, etc., the first thing I do for my clients, number one, have a plan. Have a plan. When you make a plan, your chances of being consistent, your chances of following through is better than not at all. When you make a plan, what happens is that even on your worst days, even in the worst days, because you have a plan, you will do something and not do anything. So if you have a plan, and if that plan is, say, 3 days a week or 2 days a week, Monday mornings or Tuesday mornings, and you switched up on 3 days a week, 2 days I'm going to work cardio, one day I'm going to work, that one day I'll do just the abs or what have you, you're going to find that you're going to be more able to follow through with that plan, even on your worst days. The second thing I would say to the person, be consistent. Be consistent. I think we have this, I think that we've adopted this lifestyle where we see it on the television shows, the insanity programs, everybody going insane and doing insane stuff, and it takes time to do those insane stuff, etc., and it causes injury to their body, because just as physical health is important, activity is important, excessive or aggressive activity can be very harmful to the body, put stress on the body that's not needed. So I said to them, be consistent. If you're consistent, like I mentioned earlier, if you're consistent with 5 minutes a day or 10 minutes a day or 15 minutes a day, being consistent with that amount of time is way better than planning for 45 minutes that you just don't have. So be consistent. If that consistency is just 10 minutes, be consistent. What the body does, the body likes regularity. So if the body knows that you say, I'm going to be consistent with 10 minutes every single day or 3 days a week for the next 3 weeks or what have you, your body is recording that consistency and your body will make changes according to that. The third thing I would say to the person is change the activity. So if you want to start small with jogging, start with jogging on the spot. If you say, okay, I'll jog today, Monday, tomorrow I'm going to do a few jumping jacks or sit-ups, what have you, change it the consistency and be as creative and have fun with what you're doing. When you take those simple steps, as simple as those steps may seem, it will do a whole lot more than just praying and wishing that you have all this time that you just don't have. So I would say, have a plan. And the worst days, you're going to do something. Be consistent, do simple stuff, and get going.
Now, let me add, I am thinking that if I'm exercising by myself,
Mm-hmm.
and let's say I'm missing, I'm missing my exercise appointments, etc. Wouldn't it be more meaningful if I had an exercise partner so that that
Yes.
person could encourage me and I could encourage that person?
Yes, I would say that person to get an exercise, you can have an exercise partner. This is what I would encourage. This is what I do encourage. If you're going to have an exercise partner, and I've mentioned this before in the previous presentation, if you're going to have an exercise partner, have an exercise partner. So your plan is, I'm going to exercise 3 days a week. Have that exercise partner for only 2 days of that 3-day commitment. And the reason why I always counsel this is because on the day that your partner does not show up, on those planned days that your partner does not show up, you've already started now ingraining in little increments in yourself, doing stuff on your own. So whether or not on that day that your partner is scheduled to turn up, they don't turn up for whatever reason, you're still going to do the exercise. So yes, I concur, have a partner. But if you plan to have a partner and you're going to do 3 days a week of exercise, take one of those days and go pro solo. Because what happens, once again, that gives you the energy, because we start out really well with partners or what have you, and then eventually the partner for some reason can't make it. And guess what? When that partner's schedule doesn't work with yours, guess what? You're not gonna exercise either. So have a partner for the 2 days, and then the third day, say, I'm gonna do this pro bono myself. Another thing that I would encourage, if you can afford it, invest in yourself. And also, this is very interesting. I have a friend who resides in England, and this is very important because a lot of women suffer from self-esteem, etc. And my friend suffer with self-esteem issues, and then she realized, you know what? If I really want to overcome, it was pretty much about her body image. She invested in a trainer, and when she invested in a trainer, you know what happened, Dr. Greene? Her entire outlook in life became different. and I know it sounds, well, really truly, God should have our outlook to be different. Yes, that is true. But God wants us to be healthy as well, too. She invested in her health. Invest in your health. If you can afford a trainer, get a trainer. And you may not need a trainer forever. You may just need a trainer to give you that kick start to get you going if you can afford a trainer. Now, the third thing I want to say, technology is available. Technology. You have your phone. WhatsApp your friend, you have video WhatsApp free of cost in your very own home. WhatsApp that friend and you two work out together. You plan what you're going to do and you work out together. That way you don't even have to leave your home. Right in your living room where you have that room and that space, you can work out with your friend right there together as a team. And that would be a source of encouragement to get you going. So technology is available for you to do things together. Don't ever talk to your friends on the phone anymore and just chat. While you're talking with that friend, you can be working out together.
Well, we're going to talk about that. I have heard a lot of people talk about exercise. I have to say that I've never heard anybody say, listen, if you have a partner, go solo one of the days. That's a very interesting concept. I kind of like the concept because it helps you to develop the lost you.
Yes, I lost you just now there. I didn't
Oh,
hear you finish the thought.
oh, okay. I was saying that the whole concept of going solo for one of those days, that's one of the takeaways that I'm going to have this afternoon, because I've never heard that concept before, but I kind of like it. Now before we go into some of the specifics that you just mentioned there, exercising at home versus going out on the road, walking, that kind of thing, doing my own thing rather than going to the gym. Let me ask you here, uh, would you say that it is a duty, a Christian duty, a Christian responsibility for an individual to exercise, to take good care of his or her body? And what impact can a lack of exercise have on my witness for God?
Yes, I agree with you. I concur. Exercise is our responsibility. One of my favorite authors said, our first duty to man is development of self. And I take that very seriously. Because when we develop ourselves, then we can better serve others. As Christians, our responsibility, this is our temple. This is a temple that God's given to us. It is our responsibility. It's not the government's responsibility for my health. The government's not responsible for my health. I am responsible for my health when I come of age. When I'm a child, my mother, my father, who are my guardian, they're responsible for that because they're the one making the decisions for me as I'm a child. I'm now learning. But when I come of age, it is my responsibility as a Christian's responsibility to take good care of themselves, because it is a witness. I'll give this case in point. I remember years ago when I'm 46 years beautiful right now. I remember when I was a lot younger, I was about, I guess, in my teens or what have you. I remember distinctly being at a bus stop, yes. And I saw these two persons of a different denomination. I don't want to shout at anyone here. And they're you can tell what the original are because they wear this white shirts, black pants, and a little badge, what have you, without giving it away. And they were there at the bus stop, and they had in their hand a Coca-Cola, and they had a chocolate bar. And being in my young age, understanding the Christian, I said, they're chatting with me. I said, but why are you guys eating and drinking that? Aren't you Christians? Aren't you supposed to have be rep? And they were so shocked. They said, you're right. And they literally threw it away, because here's the thing. We understand what these things do to the body. So if we understand that what these things do to the body, and that we understand that our body is God's temple, then we know that we want to make choices that will reflect that. And exercise is one of those choices that we have to make. God created us for movement. He designed the organs of the body, and he's the best person to tell us how to do that. Now, if you go with your car, the type of car that you have, and it says put diesel in it, because some person have diesel car, and you go put gasoline, what's going to happen? It's going to be destroyed. But you like your car so much. That car cost you so much money. There's no way on earth you're going to get it wrong. You're going to put diesel in that diesel engine. You'll never put gas. The same concept applies when it comes to the temple that God gave to us. He expects us to maintain this body. So it is our responsibility. And as Christians, it is a witness to those who are watching how we maintain our body.
Now, that's interesting. And I suppose that there are individuals who are viewing right now, we don't want to be offensive to anyone.
No.
There are individuals who are watching right now, and some of them may be challenged to hear that, I have a Christian duty to exercise. But the Bible does say that we should take care of our bodies. We are God's workmanship. And we have, in fact, in Romans chapter 12, we have to submit our bodies as a living sacrifice to God. So a healthy body is more more useful, should I say, more beneficial to God than a sick body. Now, when you look at the Seventh-day Adventist Church across the Caribbean, one of the things that I am observing is that there is a lot of obesity. For people who have the health message that we have, how do you account for this? Because I want to think with the health message that we have as Seventh Adventists, we should be among the healthiest people in the world. So how do we account for that degree of overweight?
Well, there are a variety of different reasons, and I want to try to, as my best as possible I can, to present these different reasons. And reaffirming what you said, it is in no way to offend anyone, and I acknowledge that we all come from different backgrounds, different places. We all were born into the world by parents that some parents did not know what was right to do, and they did what they thought was best.
Let me add to, not to interrupt you too rudely, but the Seventh Adventist Church is also a church that is very aggressive in evangelism. So we are always preaching the gospel and people are always coming into the church. Now, my lifestyle from youth may have contributed significantly to my eating habits, the customs that I have, and I may have responded to the call of the gospel while I'm already overweight, while I'm already hooked on a certain
Exactly.
kind of thing. So take it from there for me, please.
Right. And that's what I want to look at. When you are used to a certain lifestyle, and this is very important that you brought that to mind. The reason why this is very important because we are the Seventh-day Adventist is known to have a health message. Because we have a health message, then obviously I'm looking for there to be a correlation between that health message and what I see. And like you said rightfully, there are persons who come into the church, they don't know the health message, they've been living a lifestyle like outside of that, and they're not favored to have a smaller size body, except because of the lifestyle practices. But we have to realize that when you become a Christian, a child of God, but because your body is God's temple, you have to be educated to understand that obesity is at the center. It was rather obesity is the gateway for other high risk and non-chemical diseases. When you have obesity, you have a potential to have um, hypertension, diabetes, cancers, a variety of different cardiovascular diseases, etc. So you're exposing yourself to obesity. So the thing is that if you're not educated, we have persons who enter in the church that they're not educated about the health message. So now is the opportunity for them to be educated about the health message. So that's one of the reasons why you find that we're having a lot of obesity in the church. One, two, there are those who are there who are exposed to the health message, but they don't want to obey the health message. Now, you can't expect to live a lifestyle of unhealthy eating and then you come in overnight and you become suddenly small. No, it will take practice, it takes time, and you have to invest in that situation. It's not going to happen overnight. So you have cases of persons who have that because the lifestyle practices before. You also have persons who have medical conditions, and I'm saying this very gingerly because I do know persons say they have medical conditions like hypothyroidism, etc. But having those medical conditions is not a reason to have excessive eating. Because even though you have, and I've had clients who've had hypothyroidism where the body's not, the metabolism is a lot slower than they're not burning up the food as fast because the metabolism is slowed down. You still have to incorporate discipline, temperance, what have you, to help maintain that weight. Then you have persons now who find themselves in complications where they have their gallbladder removed. When that's removed, your body can no longer break down fat. So you have to be careful. Okay, if my gallbladder has been removed, I don't have any way to break down fat because the bile is not being produced, etc. Then I have to control the kind of foods that I'm eating that would encourage the fatty foods I'm eating that would not allow me to be able to break those fat down. So you have a variety of reasons why persons are obese. And obesity, once again, I'm saying to make it very clear, is very, very serious. It is one of the gateways. It is the gateway for other non-communicable diseases. Persons who are obese are at greater risk of cardiovascular disease. They're greater risk of cancers, etc. So obesity is a big problem. We're seeing that more and more in the Caribbean. I want to tell you this. I remember being in New York 2 years ago because I did to do a seminar, and I stood up in New York waiting on my transportation, and this is not to bash anyone in New York, but every third person was either overweight or obese. It was, and I've traveled, I've lived in New York before, but it was the first time I stood still to just do my own observation and counting. And I kid you not, I left there depressed because I said, wow, Lord, there's so many obese people. And when I see it in the Caribbean, it breaks my heart as well, too, because we've adopted a Western diet and we've also, with that, adopted a Western lifestyle. So we no longer want to be outdoors, a garden, what have you. We no longer want to be seen in certain career positions because of how it looks and what have you. When those are the very same things that promote better health and a healthier lifestyle and reduce obesity.
Interesting. I want you to just repeat something you mentioned there just now, just for emphasis. You said that obesity is a gateway to other non-communicable diseases.
Yes.
Our listeners may have heard it, but dwelt on it too much. So I'm asking you to repeat it and to just say a bit more on that, because I think that's a loaded statement. If it's a
Okay.
gateway to other non-communicable diseases, then it means that if I don't give attention to my my personal responsibility to manage my weight, I could be setting up myself for disaster down the road.
Dr. Green, it's not just yourself you're setting up, but it's also your future generations. Um, I've been doing more and more research in epigenetics, and what epigenetics really epigenetics is the body's body way of gene mutation without actually troubling the DNA. And what research is showing in epigenetics is that the parent, when the child is in the fetus, sorry, in the womb, in utero, the lifestyle choices of that mother and that father puts that child at a higher risk of obesity, of lifestyle, of cardiovascular disease, of diabetes, of hypertension, way before they're born. So we're not just looking at the person themselves, but parents have to understand that their lifestyle that they live now has a risk. And this is what epigenetics study of it is revealing to us. And this is something that God revealed long ago. Do you know that God gave man a diet for that reason? And what you find when you search the Bible is that whenever there was a person in the camp that did wrong, it wasn't sometimes it wasn't the person who alone had to go, it was the entire family, because it was a hereditary trait lying throughout the entire family. Science is now catching up with what Bible has revealed a long time ago. And that's why I love the study of epigenetics, because what epigenetics is saying is that if you as a parent have a healthy lifestyle, you're active, what have you, the chances of your child having that same effect is a whole lot greater than if you are not. So, in other words, if you are obese, Dr. Green, and your wife is obese, and you can guarantee that they're 40% to 70% high likely to become obese as well too.
So because there are some young married couples who are listening to us now, and they are discussing having children.
Mhm.
Now, when we talk about epigenetics, you're saying that the choices they make during the development of that baby
Yes.
will impact the likelihood or not of the child. Wow, that's
Yes.
forceful. That's pretty serious. So say something to the young married couples who are planning to have children.
Well, if you plan to have children, you want to realize that every generation affects the generation after them. In other words, Dr. Green, you and I are living off. This is before your lifestyle choices. When you were born, you're pretty much living off of the genes of your parents. The environment that you're in and you're growing in now will make that either stronger or weaker. For instance, if my mom is a perfect healthy person, she's been very active, what have you, and I'm in her womb and she's doing all the right stuff, I'm getting the gene heredity from her. I will come out of my mom with that tendency of low risk of hypertension, low risk of diabetes, low risk of obesity, etc. Now, the environment that the mother or the father, so while the child, if you're a new mom, if you're a mother or a person who's pregnant right now, or you're looking to have babies, you have to make a decision. What do I want for the future of my children? That has to be made while that child, even before you plan to have that child. You got to start making those decisions right now, because those decisions are going to have an impact upon that child in the future. So you're going to want to adopt a healthy lifestyle, an active lifestyle that you can have. You give your offspring a greater opportunity for better health. Now, what's happening is simply this: the same way a person when it smokes can cause the child to come out with heart conditions, holes in the heart, etc. The same impact on eating greasy foods, eating refined sugar foods, etc. That's the same thing that happens if you lack in exercise. That sedentary lifestyle you have, chances are you're putting your child at 40 to 70% risk of becoming obese, 40 to 70% risk of having hypertension, diabetes, can't you name it, the list of NCDs that are out there that you're putting your child at risk for. I work with prenatal clients, etc. I can tell you this: women who are pregnant, unless there are a high risk pregnancy where they are old in age, and even those, adopting a healthy lifestyle will not cause the fetus to have any harm. As what is showing is that it actually helps the baby, the fetus. It helps the mother in delivery, and it helps to also reduce the risk of problems for that child in the future. So I encourage women to have an active lifestyle, incorporate exercise into their lifestyle. The women that the prenatal clients that I work with, I get a call, I see pictures. This is because of you. My child is active, can't stay still. The children are active. They're running about. They're having a healthy, right? They're just busy doing stuff. Up to last night, I got a video from one of my clients with her child in class singing and jumping up and down for joy. And she always says, my child is very, very active because when she was pregnant, she worked out up to her, I believe it was her 7th month, and then she got to feeling a little bit tired. So we reduced her exercise and she began to take it a lot slower. But she recognized not only that Dr. Greene, not only that, but she was able to maintain and go back to her regular body weight because of the activity she had throughout her pregnancy as well too. So there are benefits to being active, and also when you're pregnant, when that baby's in utero.
Well, our time is slipping away, so I'm going to look at some of the questions that have been coming in. We have a question here. Somebody wants to know, how much time should a female adult dedicate to exercise per day? So this person wants to know, taken that the person is relatively healthy, they're planning an exercise schedule, what should they budget for time?
Okay. If you are very serious and you're already on a regimen, what have you, I would say 35 to 45 minutes a day is very good. If you have a non-communicable disease, I recommend 45 minutes to an hour. The reason why I do that, because if you're brisk walking, let's just start with brisk walking. If you're brisk walking for 45 minutes to an hour a day in the sunlight, that actually drops your blood sugar as well as your blood sugar. It drops your blood sugar to at least 20 units down, and that lasts for a period of about 6 hours. If you are hypertensive and you're brisk walking outdoors in the sunshine, what have you, that will regulate your blood pressure down for a long period, drop about 20 points. If you have you're saying a 140 over 90 blood pressure, that will drop your blood pressure to about minus 20, 120 and below. So I'm saying 45 minutes to hour if you have a non-communicable disease like diabetes or hypertension. If you are a person who want to start a regimen, 35 minutes is good for you, because when you want to have that heart being able to have that exertion, or that give you that cardio work of at least 35 minutes or more. Now, if you're now starting, remember I say if you're now starting and you really need to, and you don't have that person around to help you, whatnot, and you really want to give yourself a push, start simple. 5 minutes a day. Build on that. So 1 week you can do 5 minutes. And when you do that 5 minutes, your phone is down, you don't want any distraction, and it can be as simple as doing the stairs in your home or jogging on the spot. It's right. Jogging, you type the timer on your phone, jog on the spot for 5 minutes straight. When that 5 minutes is done, don't go past that 5 minutes and don't go under the 5 minutes. The next week, bump it up 10 minutes. So you want to start in those increments. If you're now starting on you don't have that momentum, that drive, start there. But if you're in the game, what have you, 35 minutes or more is a very good time for working out.
Now, what time of the day is best? I know some folks like to go early morning, some evening. What time of the day is best?
I'll say this statement and then I'll go in deeper. Any time of the day is best that you have. Okay. When you have the time to do it. But let me give, making that statement, let me give some caution. The reason why I would recommend early in the morning, because in the morning time, the air is a lot fresher. It's a lot, because we know that during the daytime, the rush hour time, people work on even after work, unless you have a green area that you can go to where, they're far from smog and traffic, etc., no problem. But also too, the body also has what you call we have that burn phase, where 30 minutes after, your body's still burning calories. Because in the morning your body is not, you have the high cholesterol, not the cholesterol, it's evading me. Your cortisol is a lot higher in the morning time. You want to be able to capitalize on that and work out in the morning. You have the fresh air. your body is more prone to push and burn more in the morning time than the evening time. The evening time, your body's preparing to go to naturally. I'm talking about a natural environment, all things being equal. Your body's preparing to go down. So after 4 o'clock in the evening, your body is literally preparing to go to relax, to go to bed. That's why when persons work out in evening time, after workout session, they first have to come home. They have to first, the body first have to just unwind, de-stress before they can do it and think about resting. So it's a lot better to work out in the morning. But given that, if all you have is the evening time, then you work out in the evening time. But make sure you give your body way that time that it has to literally de-stress itself first before you can prepare for bed. But I would say to you, if you can do it morning, push the morning time.
Oh, well, here's another question that someone is asking. Can lack of exercise cause pain?
Yes, of course. Lack of exercise will cause pain. Case in point, do you know the number one remedy or cure for arthritis? Dr. Greene, do you want to tell them? You want to tell them? And many persons who have arthritis do not like to hear that. But the first thing any good doctor would say to you, if you have arthritis, you need to work out. Because lack of the workout is going to contribute more to more of that pain. Yes, lack of exercise can cause pain because what's happening with the body is that your joints are being seized up. Now don't get me wrong, there may be different reasons why persons are having pain. I'm not saying it's the only reason for pain. If you're having unnecessary pain in some unusual places, you need to get that checked out. It's important to get diagnosed and get it checked out. But yes, lack of exercise can cause. And if you start exercise the first thing, you don't drink enough water, you will find the very next day, or you don't stretch properly, or don't drink enough water, you will find you have excruciating pain the very next day or 2 days after. And that's because you had a lot of lactic acid buildup, and you need to flush your body from that lactic acid buildup.
Very interesting. Now, there's some older folks who will tell you, I'm sick, I'm in bed, I have arthritic pains, and I don't think it's safe for me to go out there. I get a sense you're saying that even if they take 5 steps today and next week 10, that is going to be better than them just staying at home in bed.
Not only that, Dr. Greene, but I also work with the elderly. I did at my church have an elderly program because I realized that one of the things that we're facing in our society, not just in Barbados, but in different parts of the Caribbean, we are finding that, and also across the world actually, that a lot of elderly people are actually, they're actually, what's the word I want to use? We're having a endemic where elderly persons are literally dying of loneliness. And so we have the elderly program to help combat that. And one of the key things on my program was exercise. And I had persons there, women there who were complaining of the pain, but they had to do something. Even though you're in your older age, you still need to exercise. And one of the things that it does for persons who are in the elder person, it helps with cognitive function. And we know we're seeing a rise in the Caribbean, of dementia and Alzheimer's. Mm-hmm. Exercising helps to maintain cognitive function. So we want to definitely ask the elderly people that you need to do something, even if you sit in your chair, and because persons have problem with movement, and just lift your feet. There are exercises that I recommend for persons who are for older age that they can do, even though they're in the older age. So it's very crucial. It's very important.
There's a temptation, I don't know why is it that there's this propensity towards laziness, that we sit and do nothing. Because we have heard of these folks in their 70s and 80s who have started and gone out and eventually ended up running marathons and that kind of thing. So it's quite possible.
Very possible.
And the message is that you're old, you have a few aches and pains. Your sedentary lifestyle may be contributing to your condition. So get out there and move. Yes. That's right. Now here's an interesting question from one of our listeners. This person says that I saw a lady who was slim, but now she's overweight since she became a Seventh Adventist. This is interesting. Is it because she ate a lot of soy products?
Oh, that is a very interesting question the person is asking. I don't think it's because of soy products that will cause that. It probably was just a choice. It could very well be that the lady may have a condition that we know nothing about. So we really can't blame it on. I wouldn't blame that on becoming a Seventh-day Adventist. That's like you're blaming a religion or for no. I wouldn't say it's because she's Seventh-day Adventist or she have too many soy products, what have you. You can become overweight by eating nuts, you know what I mean? Not just soy products alone. So that's very interesting. It has nothing to do with being a Seventh-day Adventist. No, I wouldn't say that.
Okay.
Because Seventh-day Adventists should be encouraging a healthier lifestyle options, healthier diet options. That's what we should be actually advocating for lifestyle. So I don't agree with that statement. Not in the least.
This is not quite a question, but I think it's a useful comment from one of our viewers. It may be a good idea, she says, for the church to invest in gyms and other support activities. Some have emotional issues associated with eating and may need counseling. Your take on that?
I agree. I wouldn't say that we have to invest in gyms because I want to tell you that the greatest gyms is outdoors.
Well, I was going to ask you, what is better? Should I pay money to go join a gym or should I just do my exercise outdoors?
You can do both. And I would always encourage, if you could, even if you can afford money to buy to go in the gym, I would always encourage persons to be outdoors because you have the fresh air and you have the sunshine. You can't beat that and you can't get it indoors in gym unless you have an open gym, like sometimes in courts or instead of a, what have you. To her question, could you repeat the question again that she asked about if we about the psychological
But she was just really stating that some persons have emotional issues. Let me see if I can
Yes.
pull it up quickly.
No. I just want to get that gist. She's
Yeah.
correct. There are some clients that you come across, and the issue is not their I think she's digging a can of worms here. I'm telling you, it's a lot of emotional abuse, and a lot of women I find who've been abused sexually as children. A lot of males as well too. Comfort eat, and that comfort eating leads to obesity. So yes, you are absolutely correct. A lot of some weight, and I didn't mention that earlier when I mentioned the medical condition. I didn't mention that, or one of the reasons for obesity. A lot of persons who, not everyone, don't say everyone. A lot of persons who are obese for that reason. They comfort eat because of sexual abuse as a child, or because of abuse, verbal abuse, physical abuse, etc. That's an avenue, an outlet for them. They tend to comfort eat, and that will lead to obesity. So she's absolutely right. A lot of it can be led to psychological. They need psychological help there as well too. So she's quite on point, very on point.
Okay, we are not really discussing diet so much this afternoon, but this person is saying, are we forgetting that unhealthy foods are more affordable? Many people simply can't afford to eat healthy or choose healthier options. Now, I think you made the point earlier that eating is important, but if you don't exercise, your eating may not help.
Exactly. And I don't totally agree with that statement. I think that yes, there are certain things that are healthy that are more expensive, but I was taught to, in my line of study, to teach person what's the next best option and what is local that's healthy that they can eat. And we're not going to diet right now, but even if you eat as healthy as you can, and it is given, your weight control is 80% diet, 20% exercise. But exercise is not the only reason. Losing weight, rather, is not the only reason for exercise. Your brain needs to function. You need to build strong bones and what have you. When you don't work the muscle, you can have muscle atrophy where your muscles die. So you need exercise as part of your regimen, even when you're eating healthy. Unless you have a problem where you're disabled, you don't have any feet, then you have no reason to walk. But if you do have feet, you need to be moving around, you need to be walking, because God did not design the body to have a sedentary lifestyle. He did not design a body for a sedentary lifestyle.
And okay, we are almost out of time. I want to put in this question though. Somebody's asking. I'm going to read it as it is. I agree. We are made to move. What exercise suits an MS sufferer?
An NS supper.
MS.
MS, person with multiple sclerosis. Is that what it is?
Yes, I'm assuming.
They want to know what exercises for a person with
Yes.
I would cardio. now there are different levels of multiple sclerosis. There are persons, I do have a client who has multiple sclerosis, and some persons have full onset blown where they're very immobile. If you're still mobile, I would say to you, and you can walk. I do have a client
It's
who has
16
MS,
hours.
and brisk walking, also strength training and cardio. You want to be in an exercise where you're doing lots of cardio, and you want to do a muscle building exercise with persons who have MS. So you have different variants. You have persons who straight bang on, they're immobile, they're in a wheelchair, can't move. If you're still able to move around, you want to do cardio, you want to do a lot. I would promote very simple brisk walking, brisk walking, brisk walking, definitely for a person with MS.
Okay,
That is still mobile.
I think that's where we are going to have to stay for this afternoon. It was exciting speaking with you. I want to thank you so much for sharing your time. I want to remind our viewers and listeners that we're here every Saturday afternoon at 3 p.m. Next week, we're going to be talking with Dr. Dos Santos. He shared with us earlier 2 weeks ago. And after him, we will also bring back, what's her name? Miss Selman. And so we are going to be having some exciting times. And after that, 3 weeks after, we're going to be talking about another topic. We're going to be switching from health now. And here's the question that we're going to be asking 3 weeks from now. Should I be rebaptized? And what are the causes for rebaptisms? So we have some interesting things lined up for you. Let's Talk is here. We discuss real issues, and we always do appreciate the wonderful comments and feedback that you have been given. We encourage you to do that and tell a friend that Let's Talk is on. God bless you. It was just a joy having you this afternoon. Next week, we'll be right back at 3 p.m. Thank you so much.